G'day guys, my name's Leslie Bradley. I'm a Gold Coast filmmaker, photographer, and welcome to the first episode of the Creative Chats podcast, where I sit down with creative individuals analysing their career and industry. And today's episode is my good friend Anne Vaughan. How are you, Anne?
Hi, Leslie. Thank you so much. I can't believe it. I'm first for something.
It's been forever. Like, how long have I wanted to do this?
Years since the first time I met you.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Leslie's setup is incredible. I wish you could see what's going on. Yeah. And we're on the beautiful Gold Coast. We're in Upper Coomera and everything is just perfect. So thanks again.
Thankfully, the wind has died down just as we started recording. I was coming here and Anne's like, oh, we want to do it in a park. And I'm like, in a park, like there's wind, there's people, there's ducks, there's birds, all sorts of things. And actually, we found like a nice little gazebo thing near the water.
Yeah.
And then we like put up a janky blanket and whatnot. So it's actually not too bad now that the wind's died down. But for those of you who don't know Anne, she is a producer turned actor turned radio host now. Like you've done quite a lot of things throughout your career.
And especially in an industry like this, you have to be dynamic and you have to be versatile. So, of course, I'm sure you know when you are working in the entertainment industry, you have got to be dynamic. You've got to be creative. Creative, right?
Creative Studios, creativestudios.com if you want to check that out.
Exactly. And you also have to be versatile. So when I started out, actually, I'm from Jamaica. For those who haven't picked the accent up, Wagwan, Jamaica, boom!
Wagwan, fire. Jamaica, boom.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. We're still working on that.
Okay. I'll try.
And you are trying. Well done. So in Jamaica, there are a lot of creative people, musically gifted, all that kind of thing. So there was a lot of competition. And when I started out singing. So I did a lot of solo stuff. And then I got into a girl band and then still managed to be studying, went to university, did that whole thing.
What did you study at university?
I did psychology and French. And then I did another degree in business studies.
What made you want to do those instead of like pursuing music? Say?
Well, because I was a nerd. So I always,
nerd factor.
Yes, I always had the desire to learn and to advance my education. So that, especially in my family, because I came from a family of educators and very well-educated people. So it was just something we had to do. You had to go to university.
Right.
When we were growing up, you just didn't have a choice. And so I managed to balance all of that because my mother said, listen, if you want to get into entertainment, that's fine, but you still have to have some sort of a backup.
Right.
And that's what my degree was because I loved psychology. I loved social studies, things like that. So I did psychology.
I think that's quite interesting to pick up on is like, I watch a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk content.
Yes, I know.
He's
always Gary this and Gary said that.
Look, he's a god, honestly. Gary, if you're watching, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I freaking love you, dude.
Gary, for God's sake, please subscribe to his YouTube channel.
Please, I'm begging you.
Just to shut him up.
You don't want to see a grow bag cry, that's for sure. No, but like interesting, he talks about how parents play a big influence on people's decisions to go to uni or not. Or, I feel like a lot of them want you to study to have like a backup because they're always scared that the film or television entertainment industry as a whole is a bit risky.
Yeah, there's a stigma attached to that because there are so many people who say, oh, child stars, if you start out as a child star, you end up as a drug addict and you lose all your money.
Miley Cyrus.
And leave Miley. I like Miley.
She actually has a pretty good song out, Midnight something.
And she's turned around. No, she's done all right.
She's pretty good. She's pretty good.
And it's also very risky because you can get a hit movie today and by next year nobody knows you. You're trying to get hired, but you don't have the look that they're looking for that year.
Especially when you're starting out. I've seen like other actors and whatnot in the industry when like they're just coming out. And I think it was Harry Potter or something like that. Like the actors in those, they started out doing 1 or 2 movies, but no one knew who they were, so they couldn't get other jobs until Harry Potter came out. And then like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. Higher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then there's the drop after Harry Potter is over. We probably don't remember half of the names of some of these
Daniel
people.
Radcliffe's done pretty good for himself.
Yeah, he's been very consistent, and so has.
What about Rupert Grint? I think he's. Is Rupert, he doing something else?
No, he tried, and a couple of his films didn't do very well, and I think people were still looking at him as Ron Weasley.
We need more gingers in the entertainment industry. That's
You're
for sure.
right. You're so right. Yes, I agree.
Gingers represent gingers everywhere.
Well, look. Game of Thrones took care of that whole ginger crisis.
I've only seen the first 4 seasons.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm sorry.
I don't know why we're still friends. Actually, I do.
I question that as well.
Leslie is awesome, and he's so talented, and that's the only reason we're friends.
And we're here to talk about you, okay, not me. Jesus.
But you're part of my life. So
that's true.
There you go.
A good part. Huh?
Exactly.
Huh?
I didn't say that. Anyway.
I'm editing this.
So anyway, after I left Jamaica, I went to Canada, and I was there for a good chunk of my life.
What made you go to Canada?
When or
Why?
where? Oh, after I worked in Jamaica for a little while after university, and as I was with a girl group, and we were supposed to start touring. Actually, we did start touring. We went to different countries, and we ended up in the US, and there was a whole thing, and it
what type of thing is that? Like a nice buzz sort of thing?
Oh no! We were doing very well. We were getting a lot of shows booked, but at the same time, we were all still struggling. We were wondering, well, we don't have enough funds. And what we found out was the manager, lovely guy, but we were kind of doing stuff for free that we thought we were getting paid for. And I was thinking, no, I didn't study and get my degree and do all my qualifications to be scraping and to be giving away shows for free when we should be a professional band.
Yeah.
So the band broke up. And then by that time, I had actually already applied to live and work in Canada, and that had come through. I'd actually put that on hold to deal with the band.
Was there anything in Canada that sort of attracted you, or you just like, I wanted to live there?
I speak French. I did it as part of my other university, part of my degree. And so I knew that I had the French background, which was one of the criteria to get into Canada as a working resident. And so at the time, I don't know if it's changed now but it was, So it was very, very sought after. And I applied and got through everything. Normally some people will try to get married to go there, or they'll try to, coming from Jamaica, it's really, really difficult to get into Canada. But because of what I had done, my experience and my qualifications, which I'm so grateful for. So in that sense, my mother was right. You always have to have some kind of backup.
And it's interesting how things like that happen for a reason. Like, I reckon in the moment you would be like, why am I studying this? Like, I'm only trying to please my parents.
Yeah.
But like, it actually turned out to be something of benefit for you.
Yes, because they do have the foresight. They've been through all of it and they know. And same for you. You have your whole setup now because you did your uni first, and rather than just jump into the business head first with no experience. And a lot of people do that. They end up in debt, or they end up going down the wrong path, or they end up being taken advantage of because they didn't plan the whole thing out. But you have planned everything from start to finish, and now here we are, the start of something that I think is going to be phenomenal. I really think so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you bring up an interesting point because like a lot of people, there's like a big debate around whether uni is actually beneficial. Like some people say uni's great. Some people say that uni's not.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the debt. You know what I mean? Like some people rack up tremendous amount of debt. Like I think my course cost about 20 grand or something like that, but which isn't too bad. Like, it's not like 100,000.
Some cost a lot more.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I'm thankful for that. but like I think it sort of depends on your circumstance. Like if you have, I don't know, an uncle or a family member in the business of filmmaking or whatever industry you want to get into, I think it's, that sort of one path where you don't need university. You can kind of go in that route. But
nepotism works, fellas and ladies.
What?
Nepotism. So if you have a family member in the business and they're willing to help you and you're willing to do the work, then by all means go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Some people get really jealous and some people get, it's because his sister is there, there is nothing wrong with that.
Use it. Why not?
Use
I would.
it. You better believe it. Use it. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, no, but like for me, I don't have any family members in the film and television industry. Like I knew absolutely no one.
Yeah.
But like, although I don't want to get into too much about me, but like this is all you.
No, we're having a discussion.
It's quite interesting how like I sort of got into it because I didn't do year 11 and 12. I graduated year 10 and then wanted to go into animation. Yeah. Like character modeling, rigging, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So I went into TAFE to do that, but they didn't do any of that. It was just filmmaking and photography and all that sort of stuff. So I did Cert 2, 3, 4 and diploma. Yeah. And I didn't get into the advanced diploma, but I worked like full-time for Macca's for, a couple of years and then moved over to the Gold Coast with a family. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, I kind of need to do something over here. How do I get in there? Like I literally knew no one from bar or soap. I didn't know you. I didn't know any of my friends from uni. But I think uni, although it taught me a lot of things from TAFE days, like diploma and whatnot, I definitely think that I learned a lot more about the business side. And because I was a lot older, like I'm 27 now, and for the past 3 years I've been studying. Like I've had a bit more of a sound mind, and like I could grasp the concepts a little easier. And especially the business side, like they went hard into like the marketing and the distribution, and especially like in today's society where cinema is kind of dipping down, and then streaming services are picking up. You know what I mean? So going into uni for that, learning the business side, learning the Queensland sort of business side of things, technicalities, and the networking, man. Like the networking was fantastic, and like the main sort of thing that
and good for you. And the thing is, you were like me because you came from a different country, Perth. And
Perth, Western Australia, represent. Yeah.
Perth is not part of Australia. That's been proven. It's scientifically proven. Perth is not part of Australia.
There's people over there.
And they've locked themselves off from Australia after COVID.
Honestly, during this time, though, I don't blame them. I
don't blame them either.
I mean, Queensland's doing this similar thing. I mean, it's tough times now. But, like, honestly, personally, I enjoy the uni environment.
Yes, I did too.
Because it's like, 3 or 4 year, whatever it is, years of just focusing on that.
You can immerse yourself entirely in what you're doing. And it's detailed and it's structured. So you're not getting bits and pieces all over the place. And then you have your qualifications at the end. Yeah. So there's no doubt that you know what the hell you're doing.
And the qualifications, like, they kind of mean nothing at the end, like, in my opinion.
I disagree.
Because, like, I'd go out, like, I got a bachelor's, like, good job, but what have you done? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they want to show that you've been filming, you've been making content. Like, the certificate means nothing. Yeah. It means that you've created content and then you've stuck it out for 3 years, if that's what it means. But
that's exactly it.
They're not going to hire you because of your degree. They're going to hire you because of the amount of content that you've done.
Yeah. And I think it works hand in hand. Move on to what I was getting into when I got to Canada. And I was in banking and I was in travel and I was miserable. I mean, lovely. I was making money. I was doing really well. Had lots of friends.
But you weren't happy?
No. Because I wanted to be in entertainment, and that's something that I always wanted to do. Because actually, when I was younger, I wanted to be a writer, and then I wanted to be a singer, and then I wanted to be a performer when I got into a performing arts group. So I always had that in the back of my mind that I wanted to do entertainment.
That's interesting. Why? You had those aspirations and things like that, but you didn't.
I did, but the problem is when you're in a country like Jamaica, it's It's difficult because you don't make a lot of money from it unless you have international success, or you it has to be on a grand scale.
Right.
It's not like I could make a living being a pub singer or being a hotel singer. I'd have to have one job or two jobs and be doing that at the same time. So it's not like here where you can be a dedicated entertainer, where you can be a movie extra, or you can do commercials, or you can do, the industry's just not that big. If I was going to be a reggae singer, or something like that, then maybe, but it still would take a lot of time, and it would take it's not something that's guaranteed.
You sort of like conflicted between what you wanted to do and having money, to live.
Yeah, because I didn't want to have to be living, at home or doing all of that for heaven knows how long. And I needed some kind of plan, just like you have your plan now and you're working your way up. It's really hard to do that in Jamaica when you just don't have the resources.
Did you feel like it was a right decision to focus on the money side, less creative?
Well, back then, especially at that age and in the society that we were in, where we needed the funds.
Yeah.
It's not like we didn't get any money from welfare. We didn't get anything like that. So it was a case where, how can I make money and still be performing and doing things I want to do at the same time? And this is where Canada afforded me that opportunity, because when I got there, actually within a week of getting to Canada, I got a job.
Interesting.
Which was really good.
Yeah, good job.
And then I was living with relatives, and then I was able to move out on my own. And it was actually my uncle, because he knew that I was in entertainment, and he mentioned to me that he had a friend who was an engineer and had his music studio. And I thought, okay, I'll just wander down, and and he took me there one evening, and the guy said, oh, so you used to sing? And back then we just had CDs, and we didn't have anything digitized.
Here's my collection.
Exactly. So he said, oh, you want to do an audition for me? And I said, okay. So he just put some music on, and he said, oh, just sing anything. And I sang anything. And he was like, wow. And so that's how it started. He actually signed me to his studio, his label, and I did some songs for him. And I was supposed to do an album, but that didn't work out. And then a couple of years after that, I decided to get back into acting, because I hadn't done that professionally or formally. I'd just done theater and that kind of thing. And
whilst you were doing the band and the touring and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I was at uni, I was in the theater group there and all of that. So I signed on with an agency, and I just started getting work. So I started getting commercials. I was getting short films. I was getting...
What made you decide to pursue acting then?
Well, it's all these opportunities that I always wanted but never had a chance to get in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Because once again, limited resources.
Yeah.
There were only a couple of production agencies. There were only a couple of ad agencies. So it was really, really competitive.
And because everything was going well with the singing and all that sort of stuff,
I had money,
performing,
so
and you had money,
my full-time
you felt
job.
safe enough to pursue that.
Exactly.
Interesting.
That's exactly it. So, because that would have been the way you had your plan, that was my plan. I wanted to have savings. I wanted to have my own place. I wanted to have my independence before I moved on to anything else, which is what happened. And then got into the acting. I was able to start making a bit of a better living out of it. And then that was around that time where I met my now husband.
Aww.
And he was from Australia, and
easy.
And so so we had started dating back and forth, and he had to go back to Australia, so I would go there and visit him, and he'd come to Canada.
Young love. Young love.
I know. And then when we finally got married, we actually got married here in Australia, and then he moved back. I was always in. I never left Canada. I would just visit. But then he moved to Canada, And then we were there. And so now that we had two incomes, I said, okay, well, maybe I can see if I could start a production company, because by then, as you say, with the networking, I had met so many people and all these people with all this talent. And I thought, wow, if I could do something to showcase all this talent, then maybe I could go somewhere further rather than just being in front of the scenes. I could do some behind the scenes stuff.
Although you enjoyed being in front of the camera and acting and things like that, you wanted more. You wanted to be like a producer, director, that sort of thing? Or like, has it always been in the back of your mind? Or is it just like acting and like, oh, opportunity come, I could do more?
Yeah, for me, it's the opportunity. If I saw the opportunity and if I felt that there was something I could do, then I just go for it.
But it wasn't you like always wanting to be a producer?
No, it wasn't part of my
was
plan.
Like a way in.
Yeah.
You just automatically like acting and then, oh, I want to like showcase everything else. What can I do more?
Yeah.
Producer.
Yep, acting and writing. And I met somebody on a film set, actually, on an audition. And then we both I got the lead, and then she also got major part in it. And then the production was suspended for some, I'm not sure I don't remember what happened.
Reason.
But yeah, it was suspended. I think maybe they couldn't get enough funding or whatnot. And then we were actually there. I think we hung out at her name is Ophelia. Hi, Ophelia.
Hi, how you going?
And I think we'd gone to lunch or with something, and we were chatting, and I said, you know what? I wonder how difficult it would be to set up our own production company, because we know all these people now, and we're kind of waiting for the show to get into production and whatnot.
It'd be stupid just to waste time and wait for something that could never
might not eventuate. Yeah. So she said, you know what? Actually, I'd been thinking about the same thing too, because she'd been in the industry for years. She is Canadian, but her parents were Jamaican, so she's been in the industry for years. So she had experience, and we thought, well, we kind of don't want to jump into it, because with me being the nerd, I said, well, let me get the background training. So we went to what do
you mean by background training?
Oh, production. So we actually did a course in video production and filmmaking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was LIFT. It was called the Liaison of Independent Filmmakers and Television. And it was really cool, because the way it worked is you pay a nominal fee to be a member, and then you volunteer at the studios doing whatever. We would be transferring tapes, like 50, 60-year-old reels, and we'd be digitizing them. And so that's part of how we got our experience. So rather they pay
you to do all these things, you pay them to do these things?
So no, we'd be doing that, and then we'd be doing their training courses. So it was kind of a
given to, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that for, I think it was it a year? It wasn't more than a year. And I got so much experience from that. And afterwards, we got our certificate in filmmaking and production. And from there, we started a company called Debutante Films. And we and we got some funding. So we sourced funding from family and friends. And
was it just family and friends, or did you go out and like try and get investors to come in?
No, we didn't, because we wanted to, just like you, we wanted to have some content first,
right,
before we just, because people wouldn't know us from they
didn't know who you were, like you had nothing out there.
Exactly. So we wanted to do it that way, and so we set up our production company, and we got our camera. It was a Panasonic DAP something, which is a micro, what's it again? It's a mini DV tape.
Micro Four Thirds?
No, it's a mini DV.
A mini DV.
Which longer, we spent I think I spent...
Those little tape things, eh?
Yep.
I use those in TAFE and Cert 2 and like put them in. They're janky as all hell. And
thanks a lot.
Oh my God.
It was top of the line back then. It was one of the first high definition cameras back then.
High definition.
So this was
now
back
in... SD everything, CF cards and
SSDs.
And
we had to we did a feature we started out, we did a documentary. So we did a paid documentary for, I forgot her name, but she is in Canada. She's called the goddaughter of hockey because she is one of hockey. I think he's like a god in Canada when it comes to hockey players.
And how did you get that documentary? Like,
Ophelia knew her, so Ophelia had done some work with her prior.
Right.
And when we started up our company, she said, "Oh, I always wanted to do a documentary on what happens behind the scenes in hockey." And we actually went to a very, very well-known sports stadium in Canada. So we were able to, go do all of that. And we did the documentary for her. After that was all done, it was fantastic and it was well reviewed and whatnot. However, what we found was, because back then we had to take the physical DV tapes and extract the film and the audio, and sometimes we even had to do that separately depending on how we filmed it. It was a pain. It was such a pain. And we had to pay for a professional editor to do it, because we had to have an editor, because back then the storage capacity for things, it was very limited. There was so many hiccups along the way that we didn't really learn when we were doing our film, our training, because that wasn't something that we were focused on. We just wanted to learn how to film, how to produce, how to pre-produce, and then the editing, post-production,
the actual technical side of running it all.
Exactly.
The workflows.
And yes, so we spent quite a lot of money with the editing and with the audio. The audio was always the problem, because back then we didn't, the microphones were just not as high tech. We would either have to spend thousands of dollars on a pro microphone kit, or the mic that we had. It was a pretty good one at the time, Panasonic, because we had the Panasonic filming stuff, but we still ran into a lot of trouble with extracting the audio. So I
mean, that's the thing about today is, like, we have Rode, we have, like, although Sennheiser's a little pricier, but, like, we do have, they're not tens of thousands of dollars, you know what I mean?
No, because even for now, I have an Audio Technica. And that's something that a few years ago would have been so much more expensive than what I paid for.
And digital, like, everything's so much easier to just record. Like this here, like probably $20 microphones that my parents had doing karaoke. Like, it's just, but they still sound pretty good.
It's still, exactly.
It just captures the voice. But it's also, like, for me, what's interesting is that, like, with filming, it's not so much about the camera, it's the lighting.
Yeah.
And with the audio, it's not so much about the microphone, it's how you bounce it out. Like,
it's we have clarity.
It stops the P's and the B's.
Reverberation.
And then I've got, like, this foam to stop the wind. Like, it's how you treat these things that make them a little bit better. You know what I mean? So you don't need the big fancy lights. You don't need the big, I mean, they make them easier.
No.
Don't get me wrong. It makes it so much easier to film things. But, like, it just go out and make stuff. You know what I mean? Like, shitty microphones,
and
shitty lighting.
You don't need to pay a lot of money to hire a place. Look, we are in a free park. There's water in the background. That's it.
Wind's going around. We've got a blanket.
We have a blanket to block some of the wind.
People are coming by, like, how you going, kids?
And nobody's bothering us. There are kids over there in the park, and you can't hear anything.
I mean, look, I'll be honest. Starting out, you're like, oh, I can't go to my house, can't go to my house. But, like, let's go to a park. I'm like, you want to go to a park? With wind, with people,
and I told
with dogs.
I said, I said, I've done it before. It seems like it's not going to work, but...
And stupidly, I trust Anne. You're like, it's going to be fine. Get here. It's like blowing a gale. I'm like, oh, Jesus. But, like, we're under a little gazebo thing. It's not too bad.
Yep, there's shade. It's fine. It's awesome.
And it's actually died down, which is quite nice.
Yeah. So it's gotten a bit warmer, which is good, because it was a bit chilly this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the bottom line, what I'm trying to get to with all the stuff that I've been through, because our production company eventually folded because we ended up spending so much money. Yes, we did make a bit of money, but all the external stuff, because we did a feature film and we put a lot of money into it. We did get investments for the film, which was good.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we could have afforded to do it on our own. But it's the post-production was so expensive, and we did not budget for that. And I admit, I just didn't think that all of that post-production, because back then everything everything was something else. So the audio was separate, and then we had different cameras. We had a cinematographer. Because it was very well thought out. I'd say semi-professional, because there are lots of times where we just had to improvise.
Yeah.
Because there are certain permits that we couldn't get. There were permits that cost like tens of thousands of dollars, and we just could not afford to get. So we didn't see that part of it when we started. It's when we got into it and we thought, hold on, we can't film.
We need all these different things that we didn't even budget for. It's like,
because when you have that set up, and let's say we were filming in a park like this, and if somebody from the council or government was to come in and see us film, we would be fined if we didn't have a permit to film.
Please don't fine me for this one.
No, this is different. This is different.
The Gold Coast Council over there.
No. This is different. Because with all the because we had teams, we had
it's the amount of people, the trucks, the gear, like
exactly.
It's a big setup,
and there was no way. So we had to scale everything back, and we had to we had to beg and plead for people with locations. This guy who had a boat, a friend of a friend, and we had to ask him if we could borrow his boat, because we couldn't film at the docks, and we would kind of sneaky film stuff.
You're trying to like jank everything together to make it fit, and it's like,
man, because we had already hired all these people, and we did all that was fun though, doing the auditioning and going through the list and doing the because we wrote the script as well. I co-wrote the script with Ophelia, and everything was going to plan until the actual filming and post-production. That's where we ran into all. So it's a word of advice and warning. If you're going to be doing something like a feature film, you have to factor in those costs, because there are going to be costs for licensing and, of course, copyright everything. Everything. You have to copyright everything. Because if you lose, let's say, for example, you're doing something similar to somebody else, but you did it first, but they did it and they've copyrighted that material, they can actually come after you and say, you have no proof that you have done this before I did, that it's my idea.
Is it different in America? Because I know here, like, as soon as you create a piece of, like a document or things like that, like you automatically have that copyright.
It's completely different in the US. It is completely, in North America, I should say. So you have to copyright. But I think here it's still good to have that.
Oh, it's definitely good to like put your brand on there or something.
Especially if you're planning on going international. So if you're posting something and you're planning on incorporating it, going international, having other people from other countries come in and invest and what, it's good to have that just as a professional way of displaying your work. So people will know that it's legit, and if they do this with you, they're not going to have anybody coming back after them.
Good thing to know here is that, because I have studied a Bachelor of Film, Screen, Media Production for the past 3 years, and in the last year, they actually do talk about the whole licensing and the copyright and all these documents and forms and stuff that you need to like look into, which is actually quite good. I didn't do the producing side of it, but there is like a producing course that deals with all that sort of stuff and contracts and licenses.
Yeah, but Leslie's the kind of person where you can do that on your own. You can research and you can do all of that on your own. Yes, you can.
There's like a few websites, Law Depot or Arts Law. It's a good one. Artslaw.com.au. A lecturer actually pushed me onto that, and they have. And
there was one you sent me, a YouTube site about behind the scenes. I can't remember the guy who he does a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and he also includes material on. You sent me I have it on my YouTube. I just don't remember the name. I'm sorry, but all of that's available online.
Honestly, like, I say that, going to uni is a really good thing, but don't need to. Like,
No,
you
not
could
anymore.
watch YouTube videos, go on blog posts,
Yep.
and there's a lot of people putting out free content. Like Roger Deakins, the cinematography god, has his
Yeah.
own podcast
Yeah.
talking about how he goes about lighting.
Yeah.
Look at behind the scenes pictures of how they light stuff, like C-stands and light. It's all available.
And you've heard of, is it Masterclass?
Masterclass. I haven't signed up personally because it's a little
you don't
pricey.
need to. It is pricey, but you don't need to.
Honestly, I would.
Yeah.
If once I get going a little bit here, I'd 100% go to Masterclass. They have some directors, cinematographers,
writers, publishers, producers. It's just technical people, the editors. It's just.
I say they're a little pricey, but compared to uni. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good deal. So, you don't need to go to uni. I mean, that's why it's a 50-50. You don't need to, but, it's also good too. You know what I mean? Like, it all depends on your personal situation, finance-wise. And
I personally believe university, certain things, for God's sake, if you want to be a doctor, please go to university.
Absolutely. Please.
But other things, when it comes to information technology and stuff like that, you really don't. There's so much stuff that you can learn. There are lots of apprentice things that you can do. You can go to TAFE. You don't need to spend a ton of money just to say you have a degree, because as you said earlier, I don't think anybody cares that much anymore about certain industries.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Especially
it's not necessary.
In today's ever-evolving industry, you know what I mean? Like, the world is moving so fast.
And some universities cannot even keep up. That's what I've noticed.
That's it.
With some universities, they keep hiring people from abroad.
Well, my TAFE had cameras that, actual film cameras, when, it's red camera shooting 6K. I'm like, you don't,
it's practically obsolete after a couple of years.
They can't keep up with the amount of technology that's going on in the world. It's just too expensive for them to keep updating cameras every year with new features. So even if you go to uni, you're using cameras that, 3, 4, 5 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's another bit of advice. Don't do what I did and don't buy something hot off the market. If you're just starting out, the best thing to do is to get either a middle model or something a bit on the lower end until you can master it. And because if you spend a ton of money on stuff that you don't know how to use or you don't have any experience using, what will happen is the majority of the applications on that device are going to be useless to you unless, like you actually know how to use all this technology you have.
Yeah.
I see people buying all this stuff just to film a podcast for something basic. And I think, but you have thousands of dollars of equipment and you're sitting there once a week filming a podcast that you could be doing on basic equipment.
Yep.
If you're going to be investing, if you're making it something that's going to be your main source of income, then that's fine. But if you're doing just a little, don't spend all that money. It's really a waste of money.
Well, for example, I was looking at the Blackmagic Cinema camera, 4K and 6K.
Yeah.
Really great cameras.
It's vicious expensive though.
It's expensive, but not you're getting 4K, 6K for 3-4 grand.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a good price. But I was contemplating on getting that camera.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, at the moment where I am, I'm not getting the weddings. I'm not getting the real estate enough to qualify for that. And then I had battery issues, things like that. So, and then R5 now is overheating and all these sort of issues because, people are like, it's a new camera, boom, I want it. You know what I mean? But for me, I'm like, okay, well, what do I have? I have the Canon 5D Mark III with 24-70mm lens, like the L series glass. It's a good camera.
It is a damn good camera.
It's a fantastic camera when it came out, and it's still the same camera it's still now. You know what I mean? It's like 6 years old, something like that now.
Doesn't matter.
Crazy. It's 1080p. It's not 4K. It's not 6K, but most people watching 1080 anyway.
Exactly.
No one's going to watch a 6K podcast.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's crazy.
As long as your audio is tight and your video is tight and all your levels are okay and you're not having any crackling in the background.
I mean, look, it shuts off every half hour, but it's I mean, but this is something that I have to adjust to. So in future podcasts, I'm definitely going to have you on again. But like,
yes.
no, but like, for example, I'd shoot for 20 minutes and like I'll put the podcast in blocks then, you know what I mean? So 20-minute blocks rather than just like letting it go. And me personally, this is like a big test as well. Like I have never filmed more than half an hour on this camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what's going to happen? Is it going to split it? Is it going to split it up into two 60-minute videos?
Yeah.
Two 30-minute videos?
Yeah.
Or is it going to do into like 4 gig file and then split that? Like, how's it going to work? I don't know. So this is a big test. You know what I mean? And like, I'll eventually adapt over time, and that's when you see improvement. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know these things from like a YouTube video, like you just have to go do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm just proud of you for getting it finally together and everything's organized. And this man, he's so detailed. You have got to go onto his website, Creative Red Studios.
CreativeRedStudios.com.
And everything is there. You will see, he hasn't hired anybody to do anything.
No, I've legit done this all by myself.
Doing this all by himself.
Every picture, every graphic design, logo, layout. I've done
when
all
you
by
go
myself.
onto the wedding, all the wedding photos, all the photos, that's Leslie. He's done.
I don't have a team.
Nope,
Creative Red Studios is me.
Yep. And I want you to put some of the headshots in as I'm speaking, so you will see some of my headshots. So yes, so you can edit my headshots.
Well, I took those photos that you see right now on the podcast. By the way, this podcast is also being filmed up on the YouTube channel, Creative Red Studios, so check that out.
Yep.
But the photos I took of you were literally just on my phone.
Yeah.
And in the shopping centre, Helensvale Shopping Centre, food court.
Yeah, it was the food court. You're right. And I still have that up on my Facebook page. So if you go to Anne Zone, ANNEZONE.
Links in the description. Links in the description.
You will see the headshot that's there. Leslie took that in a shopping center food court on his camera, and it's one of my favorite shots. I love it so much. He has this way of doing just a natural shot. He catches you in your natural movements, and I love it. And I saw it and I thought, when did you take this? Because he was taking a few, and I was talking and I was rambling as I tend to do.
But you posed for that one. You knew I was taking the picture.
But I think I was turned a certain way or something, and I was like, "Oh, do I turn like this? I don't know what to do." And I was laughing like a.
And you're like, oh my God, that's so good. Oh my Lesnar.
It was awesome. We should recreate that and see if we can have the same kind of
testing me now.
Because I have to I have to do some new headshots. So maybe by the time this comes out, I'll have the new headshots so you can see
this is
some
how
of
it
his
starts.
work.
You get a really good friend that loves what you do.
Yep.
And then we'll just hire you for all the things that you know.
Yes. An operative word is hire. You make sure you get paid for your work. You can only do so much free stuff.
Although I didn't get paid for that headshot.
But you got paid for the other one. You got paid for the one.
I got paid for another photo shoot.
How dare you?
I didn't say I didn't forget it. I knew about that one.
Oh,
but I'm talking about that. I'm talking about that one in the shopping centre. The one that we hang out as friends, and you're like, "Hey Les, I know you're busy, mate, but can you just get a photo?" I'm like,
I swear, I shouted him a movie. I shouted him a movie or lunch or something.
Yeah.
Because I would never let you do that.
You brought me so many grills, so many movies. But remember how the end there, we were like trying to like take a picture or a video of each other.
And there's like,
you're like, where are you? I'm like, I'm here.
Because I'm not used to doing, I'm a dinosaur with the camera, and I got this fancy new phone. Where the hell is it? I got it a couple of weeks ago, and
Samsung.
It took me a while to find the camera, because the camera is in a weird place. What's wrong with Samsung? I love Samsung.
That's another topic, Anne. We'll talk about that next time.
For crying out loud. I am not an Apple. Apple is very proprietary, and I don't like Apple products.
Apple is fantastic.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, moving on.
Apple is fantastic if you can pay for everything. Nope. I like free.
I'm paying for stuff on a plan.
Whatever. I like open source free stuff. Occasional free stuff.
Man, jeez. Anyway, back to you and the whole filmmaking. You just had a feature film that didn't work out. What's sort of like going through your mind? What's like the next steps?
Well, we couldn't afford to go any further with the production company. So there was so much, there was a lot of debt, and we had other projects in the works, but we just couldn't build up enough sponsorship, enough investors. It's so difficult to get the seed investors, and we were really trying, and it just wasn't working. That was around the time of the GFC, the financial crisis, and people were being really tight with their so I think we just had a run of bad luck around that time, particularly in Canada, because I think it kind of hit Canada pretty early, and the Canadian dollar was dropping, and there were all these factors against investing, and the film industry was not going as smoothly as it had been a couple of years before. So so
pretty similar to like today's
the climate with
COVID and all that sort of stuff.
Not as bad where everything shut down, but because of the because of all the problems that the financial issues, and so we just decided it folded. That was heartbreaking because we had other projects that we were going to work on. We did, however, finish the film, because that's one thing we promised we would do, especially to all those people who worked on it. William Riley, he was the cinematographer, and he was awesome. He was a very accomplished filmmaker and actor. Yeah. And he'd been around Canadian industry. He had done all sorts of movies and so on, and he helped us so much. He helped us beyond what we could pay him. And so we promised Bill we'd finish. The editor was awesome. The editor gave us a break with his fees and everything, and so people were helping us along the way. So we did finish it, and it is my intention to release it on YouTube eventually.
Are you saying you haven't released it yet, Anne?
No, I'm gonna. And I know
who holds on to a finished feature film and you don't release it?
You're right. We're gonna be releasing
You're having to go at me for not producing content, and here you are sitting on a feature film that you haven't released yet.
I know. It's called The Silo. And yes, okay, so we will be releasing it. And that's why I need you to help me with the website so we can get everything up and running.
We literally just had a brief conversation for this, and I'm going to help her out with a website, graphic design, photos, all sorts of things.
Because I am not tech savvy at all.
Because I'm a good friend.
All right. So after the film production company folded, I went back into music, because I always seem to fall right back into music, because it makes me happy, and it's something I know I can do.
I definitely think you should, that's a key point as well, and what Gary talks about all the time.
Gary, I love you, Gary. No.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Gary. No, but he talks about how, if you're at $100,000 job and you have to drop down to 60 or 50 and you're happy doing that, happiness is key.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't want to sound like a parrot and copy all his stuff, but
no.
I think he wants to spread that message of happiness and to do what makes you happy. So if it means, closing off your film company to go pursue music and things like that, by all means do that.
And there's no way I was going to drive myself into more debt to kind of save face and to say, oh, yeah, things are going well. Oh, yeah, this is awesome. No.
You don't want to bullshit.
No bullshit. As soon as we realize that, hey, we are not going to break even, not even close to breaking even, then we said, you know what? I think let's call it a day. And the good thing is that Ophelia and I are still friends. So it wasn't acrimonious. There was nothing. It's not like you hear about some of these companies where people, they start suing each other and this, that, and you owe me this.
It's good to leave on good terms. Never burn your bridges.
Do not burn your bridges. Yes. And if you find a good friend, you hang on to them.
Never let me go, never let me go. Although Anne is extremely hard to get in contact with and actually like meet up with now.
I'm so sorry.
You're so busy.
Well, what was all of this air? Look, no, I do have a job. No, not full time, but I work customer service, and I'm really good at what I do. They keep calling me in. Yeah, because I used to be full time, and I dropped back because I realized that I wasn't doing anything I wanted to do. And I, fortunately, because with my husband, he has a full-time job and he loves what he does. So we kind of do a balance there. And I have a teenage daughter. So
kids, man.
Yeah, you'll get there. You are young and
one
sprightly.
Day I don't have kids. I'm not in a relationship.
You are young and sprightly. And he's a proper ginger because he's got the gorgeous red hair and the blue eyes.
No faking around here.
Nope, and the freckles and the whole thing.
I'm the real deal.
The real Apart from the squeaky voice. Yeah. I'm the real deal. Mickey Mouse. No.
But so you got into music. I'm changing the subject. So
I went back into music.
So you went back into music, and
I actually
then what
signed a
happened?
deal with another music studio, and I did some songs with them. And it was taking a bit of a time to get an album together because I didn't want to go through the whole thing again, where I spent like a year or 2 years doing this. And by then, Rob, my husband, and I had discussed about moving to Australia.
What was the decision there? Like, why?
Well, his mother was very ill at the time.
Family.
And yeah, it was family reasons. And we always loved traveling because we'd done a lot of traveling. And we always said that we would live in another country. And so that's what we decided to do. So we moved to Australia. We were only planning to be here for a couple of years. That was 10 years ago.
I mean, Australia's pretty good.
It is awesome.
It's actually, it actually is quite a good lifestyle.
It's a lovely country, and I'm very happy we moved. No regrets. Only thing is, of course, I miss my family and friends because I'm very social.
But that's only natural, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to. You're always going to miss family. You're always going to miss friends, but you're always going to create new ones.
Yes, and if you have, and if you have a dream, if you have the desire to do something, you shouldn't let family and friends keep you from doing what they're supposed to be. The ones who are encouraging you to leave your dream, to leave and pursue your dream.
The biggest thing that I've learned recently is that everyone works on their own timeline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people are out creating content with Screen Australia and all those sort of things. And I'm just like, like I'm doing my own thing, but like, no, I am doing my own thing.
Yeah.
They're doing their own thing.
Exactly.
And like, just trust in the process and do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just
and do what you're good at. If you find that you're not good at something, don't flog that horse for too long, because what will happen is you're going to lose your motivation.
It's not
you're
new
going
anymore.
No. So what you do is get different bits of advice from different people. Get professional advice. Yes, your friends and family, because your friends and family will always say, "Oh my God, you're amazing, you're awesome." But it's good to get professional advice as well, which comes into when you're doing your education, when you're studying, when you're doing uni. They will actually tell you. They will say, okay, you know what, maybe you're better off doing production than editing, or maybe you're a really good designer, you should focus on that. It's good to get professional advice sometimes.
Now, interesting point here, because I actually tried to pitch an idea for third year grad slate, which is like the final film that we all go up to.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things were like through the process of doing that, I'd come up with a story and I'd get feedback from the lecturers, but then I'd change it based on their opinion to try and make them happy, because they were the ones that were like giving me the, you know what I mean? They're giving me the pass to go into the next stage sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'd constantly change it.
And I remember when you were doing that, and I was saying, but that's not really what you wanted to do.
It doesn't end up being what I wanted, and it's no longer
and you
my
were miserable.
story.
You were miserable.
I mean, good thing is that, okay, so long story short, it didn't make it. I didn't do the third year grad slate, but I have all the time in the world now to work on that myself.
Exactly.
And create it how I want to.
How you want to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, even though you're getting advice from family and friends and then professionals, it's always good to like stick to your own guns and be like, okay, I'm getting advice from here, I'm getting advice for here.
Yeah.
Which do I feel is more appropriate for me and what I want to do?
And stay true to the core of what you want to do. Because
don't forget, it's their own opinion.
Exactly. And
it's
some
not to
of them
say that they're right. Like, yes, they've done feature films and documentaries, but if they're like, look, if Quentin Tarantino or Michael Bay or, you know, Martin Scorsese comes up to me and is like, you should do this differently, I'm like, I'm gonna help and we'll do that. You know what I mean? Like, you've got like, you know, stars on your sleeve. Like, I'm gonna respect you more because you've done it. Like, you've done that process.
Yeah.
Whereas lecturers, understandably, you know, they're great in their fields and all that, but like, you know, it's good to have your own opinion and sort of stick to it. Yeah. And I think that's sort of like, you know, I don't want to say anything here, but like, you know, I feel like in a way that sort of prevented me from getting, you know what I mean? Because I did sort of stick to my own thing, and it did take a little bit more of a process. Yeah. Because they, you know, they saw it as like I wasn't taking on feedback. Yeah. In a way. Yeah. Which is like, you know, it's understandably, it's how the system works. And, you know, would I do uni again? Absolutely. But I probably wouldn't choose as a heart of a project because I knew there's like CG and all those sort of things involved. So even taking a step back, looking at it, it's a project that definitely needs a lot longer than the time that was allowed at uni. So yep, that's excellent advice. And I think that it's because also your personality, you weren't just about to pick up what all the professors, what your lecturers were saying, and give up what you know you're good at and what you know your goal is. Because I had a part in the short film that was linking to another short film that I hadn't even created yet. I remember. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm going to create like a big cinematic universe. Yeah, and it's actually really good because he's gone through this with me. It is. You just need the time to go through it how you want to go through it. I mean, I've spent all the time, you know, with the back end of Creative Red Studios and like organizing content now. So once I get into sort of a rhythm and the flow of like between work and creating content, I could then sit down properly and be like, flesh it all out. Yeah. Because I'm not just creating one short film, I'm creating like multiple short films at a time and filming one in with, you know, adding aspects that will later on, you know, add merge to with the others and merge with the others. It's a whole big deal. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's a really good concept, and I'm sure he will come back to this at some stage. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure 100%. You will. So you'll understand what we're talking about. Yeah. So a new episode talking about cinematic universes. Huh? Building and anyway. I'm just saying. Did you hear that, Gary? Yeah. But so anyway, listening. You moved to Australia. Yeah, and we'll finish the podcast eventually. And of course, we got here around the same time that they had the Brisbane floods. I'm sure you heard about that. Yeah. So there wasn't much chance for me getting any kind of work, or I mean, it just took a long time to rebuild. And even the place that we had gotten, because we had an investment property, and that was all damaged. And so I spent the next year or so fixing that up. So I didn't do anything creative, nothing like that. I did some volunteer work, some flood volunteer work. So after a couple of years, we'd settled in and everything. But during those years, you weren't really actively creating content or doing anything? I was just finding my way around. Would you say financially building? Yeah, and adjusting, because this is a whole shift. When we left Canada, it was minus 30 degrees, and when we got here, it was plus 30, 32, 33, something like that. Jesus, so it's on like the other side of the scale. Exactly. Just did a whole flip. And coming from Jamaica, which is tropical, I was used to that, but then I hadn't been in Jamaica in like 15 years. Big adjustment. Yeah, so everything was just kind of flipped around. But we were in Brisbane for 2 or 3 years, and then we moved to the Gold Coast. That's when everything started picking up again for entertainment. And I think a couple months, maybe not even that much, maybe the same month I moved to the Gold Coast, I was chatting with somebody who said,
did you hear that they were filming some movie with The Rock on the coast?
way.
And I said, oh, okay, no. It was on my Facebook page. And she said, oh, now that you're on the Gold Coast, maybe you can be in that movie with The Rock. And I said, I don't,
What
I have
movie?
wait, what?
The Rock?
And then somebody sent me a link to another Facebook page that there was an agent looking for extras to be in the
Wow.
movie. At the time, it was untitled. It just said to
Yeah.
be in a movie. And you know how they get secretive about
Yeah.
the movies that are not yet done. And
So it's through a Facebook page
Yep.
that an agent was looking for
yep.
actors.
So I sent a message, and they were looking for all ethnicities, and they were looking for diversity and whatnot. And I said, oh, that's me.
Ding, ding, ding.
And somebody, I sent my details in, and somebody called me either the same day or the next day and introduced myself. And she turned out to be my first agent in Australia, and she signed me up, and I went to Movie World Studios.
Village Roadshow Studios.
Roadshow.
Yeah.
At the time, it was it was fledgling. Like they didn't have the huge lot that they have now
Yeah.
with all the.
They've expanded quite
They
a lot.
have just expanded so
They've done
much.
really well.
They've done very well. And so I went in, I did a fitting, I got paid to do the fitting. And then I was only supposed to do like a couple of, I think half a day or something, but they ended up booking me for one major scene that was downtown Brisbane. And they shut down the streets there.
That's magic when that happens. It's just like, oh, it's
I
the
know.
environment.
It was the earthquake scene where, where the Rock was.
What movie is it for?
For San Andreas.
San Andreas.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I can actually see myself because I know the exact scene.
Can you see yourself in the film?
Yep, I'm next to
Whoa.
a police officer, and
I'm going to have to rewatch it now.
you have to. We're crouching down next to a police car, and then we were supposed to pretend that the earthquake was rumbling, and I looked up like this, and I put my head down like that, like that's me, that's my head, that's my head, that's me. It's like yes,
My head's in a film.
I'm a freaking star. And and the other one I did was Pirates of the Caribbean. We did that for 6 months.
Oh,
We did that for 6
paycheck?
months. Oh, paycheck after paycheck after paycheck after paycheck.
one day.
I just, I was
Is that
seriously.
through the same agent as the San Andreas one?
Yes, that was the same agent. And she shut down her agency shortly after that. So I missed out on, because I was supposed to be on Thor, and I missed out on that. But not really her fault, because she said she just couldn't manage doing the agency on her own.
And I
There's a
guess
lot
that's
of
where it
work.
comes into her happiness. You know what I mean? That she didn't find
Exactly.
that too exciting anymore, and she wanted to downsize. Like that's
Yes.
perfectly fine.
Yeah. And
Even though still you'd be a bit bummed. Like,
I know,
you know what I mean?
I
Like,
know, but she apologized and she gave plenty of notice. But and she
Did she pass you on to someone else?
I was about to say yes, she did, but at the time, because I was going into a full-time job, I said, okay, I'm gonna just put this to the side for the moment, because when you're doing
you put the
extra
acting
work
on the side.
yeah, because when you're doing extra work, you need to be available at the drop of a dime.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing with when you're doing acting, and you also have to be prepared to do the acting classes, because I did a lot of acting classes.
Is that through the agency?
Through the
or-
agency.
Okay.
You can also do it on your own. You can do it
Is that
through.
a requirement? Like all actors have to go through that just so they have a bit of an understanding that, okay, these people here in my collection of actors
Yeah.
have or at least received the same amount of
It's
base.
strongly recommended. So, because what they want to know is that you know the basics, so that they,
Yeah.
as agents, don't send you somewhere and you are acting a fool. You have no idea
Because you're
how to
representing
position
them,
yourself.
aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then with the casting directors, they don't want you coming there and say, "What agency are you with? You've never done this before, or did they not tell you what to expect or what to?" You need to have at
You're all
least
at
the
the
basics.
same level.
Yeah, you need to have the basics.
Interesting.
And the good thing is, when you do the training, if anything comes up where they say, "Oh, we need people to do a walk-on role," do you have any experience? Do you know how to position yourself? Do you know how to turn to camera? Do you know they'll ask you all of this stuff, and then if you say, "Yeah, I can do that," and because I was able to do a couple of the things like that back in Canada, and Yeah. So I've done a couple of, after that agency, I went to another agent and I did Reef Break. I did a couple of episodes of Reef Break. And I also did a couple of other, I just cannot remember. I did another feature and I cannot remember what feature it was.
So many features.
I know,
at you,
right?
Anne.
But it wasn't Thor and it wasn't Dora, but it was another feature. It was And then I also did Harrow. I was on an episode of Harrow where they were going to, I was not a protester, but I was in support of the protest that they were doing. It was this environmental protest, and we were there, and that was actually fun.
And how long between these projects are like the waiting? Like, is it a couple of months, a couple of years?
It's so hard to say no because everything is shut down, and I'm with a different agency now, and I'm supposed to be on another very, very big project. I cannot mention it at all.
I know though.
Exactly. I cannot mention it, but that was completely
that would have been
halted.
Exciting.
It wasn't shut down. It's been postponed because they still want to be able to do it. Yes, it's been postponed, and I'm supposed to be doing that I won't say anymore.
So like what between these getting these major big milestones, like these big projects to work on, like what happened in between? Like you'd say you done San Andreas, and then the time between doing that and the next project, what did you do? Did you just work full time? Did you work on anything else on the sidelines? And then you just randomly got a call from your agent saying, hey, we want you on this other project?
So I've been working steadily while I've been doing the acting gigs, because I already decided that I don't want to do this at the moment as a full-time thing, because I can't do it now with COVID. It's just impossible. And there's only so much you can do online and on Zoom and all of that, and people are getting creative, but I think after a while I think it's going to fizzle. And I think,
what do you think is going to fizzle?
All these Zoom shows and all these online series that people are doing, rather than doing filming, outside filming and broadcasting.
Have you seen a lot of those online shows?
Yeah. And it's just not the same. It doesn't have the same effect, I don't think. And you lose a bit of that personal touch because I
definitely think that a lot more content will be watched online rather than going to the cinema. But
the content that's being watched online still has to be done. Content creation
will still be in person.
It has to be. It has to be, because you lose that element of us talking, stuff like it's just not the same when because there was this movie I was trying to watch where they were pretending that everybody was they were in a Zoom call and it was supposed to be a horror movie or something, and I
Unfriended?
Is that it? I can't remember what
something
it was.
I think I watched the same thing. It was like
it was either on Stan or Netflix. I can't remember what it was. And I just couldn't get into it. I'm sorry. Getting back to everything, I do want to get back full-time into entertainment and into media. So I do have a radio show now. I was fortunate enough to do the radio show.
Pretty exciting. Like
I know.
I've listened to one episode, I think.
Thank you.
It's actually pretty good.
It's a Caribbean radio show, and we play reggae music and Caribbean music like calypso and that kind of thing. And I interview people from the Caribbean or people who have any kind of involvement, because I've interviewed Australians and as long as you have involvement in the Caribbean for whatever reason, then
So what made you want to get into that? Like, because radio is totally different from acting and producing and making films.
Not really, because there are people who interview filmmakers and actors and entertainers over the radio. You hear it all the time. There's a movie coming, you can hear them interviewing the actors on Triple J or on what station, the
Nova,
hit station, Nova, exactly.
I mean, I guess it's sort of similar to this Creative Chats podcast. Like, although I'm a filmmaker, photographer, focusing more on the directing side of things, I decided to create a podcast, Creative Chats podcast, just to talk with other people, filmmakers, photographers, models, anyone creative.
Yeah.
So like you could do sewing and make a quilt and I'd interview you. You know what I mean? Like it's just anyone creative getting out there. So if anyone has any projects coming up on the Gold Coast that you want to promote, come on the show. Let me know. Email me at contact@creativeredstudios.com and try and get on the podcast. Because that's the thing. Like, although I'm just starting out, I have like 3-4 more people already lined up.
Yeah.
But, you know, I need more content after that. So by you guys reaching out, I also get to create content as well. So
exactly.
It's, it works hand in hand that way.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons. And the other reason I did it too was so that I could perfect my podcasting skills, because I do eventually want to have a podcast, an entertainment podcast, and that will help as well. And it has been helping. I've just
sound
connected
pretty good
with
in here.
so
sound
many.
Pretty good.
I've connected with so many people. I mean, big stars. You know, Sean Paul, Sean Paul, Shaggy.
Wow.
I'll send you the pictures so you can put it up on the podcast.
Jesus.
So I have all those people.
This is another thing as well. Like it's also networking. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, although for those who don't want to go to uni, create a podcast, network with people, create a hub where people can all come together and as a community about topics.
And try to have something unique. You know, just like you're having me on, of all people. You know, I'm not Australian. I don't do stuff that but still you, and I appreciate you inviting me on.
Thank you.
I really, really
Well, you were the only one
that.
that's pushed me to really do this thing years ago.
You have
and so
all
I'm
this
like,
talent.
I kind of feel guilty if I didn't have her as the first episode.
Damn right. Yeah.
But like, you know, like my next guest is Karen Ketley. She grew up as a police officer up in Brisbane, and then a whole bunch of things happened. She got arrested, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And now she's a writer writing a book about her whole experience.
See, I would want to talk to her because I'm also writing a book. See?
What? I didn't even know about this. What the hell?
Yeah. I used to go to my writing stuff, remember, at the library. Because I used to I used to work at the library on, and
she goes like a writers group thing, went up to Noosa.
Yep, Writing Fridays, and we have conferences and stuff like that, workshops.
What's the book about?
Yeah, well, it's along the same, the whole Caribbean thing. I don't have a title yet, but I'm almost done. I'm so happy after 500
You're making me want to read it.
Well done.
There we go.
That was really good.
There we go. The
that
title.
was really good. And that was perfectly placed. Oh my gosh.
You're making me want to read it.
Because usually you get the Jamaica me crazy. I'm like, shut up, just shut up. But that actually makes sense.
Well, I actually do like coming up with titles and all that. And like,
yeah, you do. And you're good at it.
For Karen's, because Karen, I wanted to eventually do a documentary on her. I did one at uni, but I want to actually do it like by myself outside of uni.
That is awesome.
And because she's telling her story and she's writing, the title is called The Right to Be Heard. And it's titled Right as in W-R-I-T-E.
Yeah. Wow.
Because she's writing a book to be heard.
And connecting it, but also she's
I think that's a very good title.
She's using the right to be, because as a police officer, you know, you have the right to remain silent, but she's saying
I didn't think
right
about that.
to be.
I just thought of like she's writing a book, she wants to be heard, and she has the right to be heard.
Yeah. Nope. It's everything ties in. So yeah.
Damn, the right to be silent. No, that's pretty good.
It's good to have intelligent friends because we feed off of each other.
That's it. We're both intellectuals, high beings.
So I'll come back and talk about my book.
Yeah.
When my book is done.
Absolutely. So when do you think you're going to get that done? What's the timeline? Know what?
You give me a deadline. I only have like another 10,000 words to do.
10,000 words. What's that? How many pages? Half a book?
No. Half a book. I've already done about 80,000 words.
So, okay. I'm going to say...
I like challenges. I really like challenges.
What's September, August?
No, it's middle of, around the end of August.
End of August. So say November. End of November.
End of November. Done.
We'll get her on the podcast. End of November. We're going to talk about your book and everything else going on. Deal. You guys saw this? Huh?
Handshake.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this podcast up. I want to leave with a couple of questions at the end. You don't know about the questions,
Oh,
but I have 3
God.
questions. All
There you
right.
go.
First one, because we were talking about how like your career's evolved and you've done so many different things, what's one thing that you've done that you would change and do differently?
I would have stuck with entertainment a bit longer. I would have given it a bit more time
Instead of
going into full-time work and sticking with full-time work. I should have, not that I should have, but if in hindsight, of course, I would have given it more focus because I think I would have done better. It was always kind of a back burner thing for me. And I think that is where I made the mistake.
you focus more on the money and like the working rather than
Yes.
your own creative passions.
Yeah. So going back to my parents, oh, you have to get work experience. You have to build up the experience. You have to, that's where I was thinking. I was thinking, oh, well, if I go into entertainment, I'm not going to have an experience. So if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to have a leg to stand on. And I think I would have been more successful. Yeah.
But it's interesting how that also helped you get into Canada and things like that. So
True.
it's a 50-50,
I
you know what I mean?
know.
Like, what do you focus on? So like it's,
I know.
it's always challenging.
Yep. Yeah. But I don't regret it. I just, if I could have changed it, that's what I would have done. Anyway.
Interesting. Second question, because I'm a filmmaker, photographer, I'm going to ask every guest I have on here the same questions. Second question is, what's your favorite film?
I don't have one. I watch too many.
Favorite genre then?
Ay, ay, ay.
Please
Not
say what I'm
romance.
thinking. Please say what I'm
Not
thinking.
romance. Not romance. I love fantasy. Is that what you were
Horror?
thinking? Oh, horror. But
Me and
horror,
Anne watch every horror film that
That's
comes out in
true.
the cinema.
That's-
Not recently because of COVID,
yeah,
social distancing.
Yeah.
But
And some of them suck.
they suck so bad.
Oh my God.
Upgrade was pretty good.
Upgrade
and
was awesome.
Get Out and Us.
Yes.
My
so
favorite films.
Get Out and Upgrade. Upgrade is an Australian horror.
Lee Winnell.
Yeah,
Lee Winnell, writer director.
Please search for it because that film was brilliant.
We're sitting in the cinema there, we're like, yeah, this is a bad guy here. And next minute he's not. And we're like, what the
know.
hell's going on?
Yep.
And it's a
So-
dream. And it's not. Oh,
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
So if you can get the DVD or if you can get
Blu-ray.
it
Blu-ray
on,
that.
or Blu-ray.
get a DVD. Who
I
has
don't
DVD?
have. I do. I don't have a Blu-ray.
And you disappoint me so much. You got to get the Blu-rays.
Or it might be on Foxtel if you have Foxtel. I don't know.
Is
I don't know.
Foxtel even around still?
Is it a thing? I don't know.
Anyway, Upgrade. That's
But I do like fantasy, and
Okay.
I love series like trilogies. So I love Lord of the Rings. I like that kind of stuff.
world-building films.
Yeah, but I don't like the over-the-top stuff. Like what's the new one that they?
Here's a hard question. Are you a Marvel fan?
Yes. What's
Whoa.
that? What's hard about that?
Mate.
No, but you know I
am
am.
a strong Marvel fanboy.
We've watched
And,
every Marvel movie in the last 3 years.
We have?
What are you kidding me? Yeah,
Probably.
you are joking.
Did
The
we-
only one
did
I
we-
didn't watch with you was we didn't watch,
Did you watch the
Wonder
Spider-Man
Woman. Yes. Yes, we did. No.
Endgame?
Yeah, we watched Endgame. I watched Endgame with you.
Oh, yeah, because we were disappointed at the end.
How dare you not remember
Move
that?
your finger away from me, damn it. Jesus, none of it has been.
Oh, you don't want to know where this is.
X-rated. Jesus, oh my God.
These hands
Crazy.
are so sanitized, okay? Because
Jesus.
I work around people every day and I sanitize because, people are gross and disgusting and I sanitize my hands.
Good
not
Lord.
You. And I
Anyway, getting back on track. Last question.
yeah.
How can we find you on social media?
So my Facebook, thank you. This is just an awesome plug and
No
I didn't
worries.
even push myself in
worries.
there. My Facebook page is Anne Zone, ANNEZONE. And my headshot, which was done by Leslie Bradley from Creative Red Studios, is there prominently displayed for all to see.
Do you have an Instagram, a website?
My Instagram is
or-
Anne Vaughan, ANNEVAUGHAN official. And I don't have a website yet because I'm trying to get some help for the
Hashtag
website.
coming soon.
It's coming soon. And my radio show, my Caribbean radio show, is on 4EB every Friday, 98.1 if you're in Brisbane, 98.1 FM, www.4eb.org.au/Caribbean every Friday.
I feel like you're prepared for this question.
Well, yeah, because I do this every Friday.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. It's always good to have a radio host on your podcast.
Yes.
Because like, yeah, go to this plan and then this channel, blah, blah, check out this artist.
Oh, yeah. I can do promotions, man. Yeah, coming up, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to be having Leslie Bradley from Creative Red Studios. Stay tuned. This guy is awesome. Anything you need for weddings and any sort of entertainment that requires video or production, he will do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. For a fee. A fee, of course. I'm not going to be free.
No.
But
value your work, everybody.
Absolutely. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and thank you so much for being the first guest on the Creative Chats podcast.
Thank you.
For the moment, it'll be up on the website at creativeredstudios.com, but in a few weeks' time, it'll be up on the Spotify and also Apple iTunes podcast. So, yeah, thank you guys, and see you in the next episode. Bye.